So now I think it's time to really add more details on the castle and still continue to work on the shape and break the geometry. So going to draw more buttresses, buttresses and roof tiles, adding more details in the architecture and also more adding more, information for the light direction, and also going to exaggerate the intensity of the sun, do exaggerate the gradient you have in the intensity, having more red, more saturation on the bottom of the castle, and more overexposure and more yellow on the top. So we get an interesting variation in the colors and in the intensity also. So it's not a pure um, linear shading. Okay. So for the moment, I'm using a separate layer for all the brush stroke I'm painting, so I can go back if it's not working, and I'm keeping the painting on the layer underneath. So I'm continuing, to defining more the shape of the wall on the left, breaking more the shape of that, and basically I'm still continuing to defining the shape of the castle. Still need to break the line here to add more, organic details. Also adding some touches of, bright yellow here on the top, so have more variations in the lighting on the surface of the castle. Okay. So I think we could add more, dark, dark details, like having more windows on the sunny side. Um, just working more on the volumes and adding, more details here and carving the arches. Okay. Just defining more the shape. Alright. So it seems working pretty well. Still like to add more, rooftops, with this kind of red touches here. Okay. So adding more saturation on the bottom of the castle. To make a nice contrast with the green of the trees, to have like complementary colors. Okay. Just have a look on the wall picture. So now I think we'll have to add more subtle details in the background because we had maybe too big brush strokes on the rocks. So I'm breaking the brush strokes with some different values. Oops. Mistake. Okay, alright. Okay, so now I'm importing a small village next to the castle. I like the idea of having, you know, a big contrast in the scale. So we have those very tiny houses next to the huge castle. I think it's interesting. So you have to correct, you know, do some correction on the shadow here because it was not the right direction. So we'll blend more the ground into the shade. Okay, so we still have a very kind of empty foreground, so I'm going to add a character here. And as I'm really not a character designer, I will be importing a picture, you know, I've edited, I've painted over, and I'm going to import that to add some life, you know, in the setting. Just give, you know, kind of a more history. Alright, just need to adjust the scale. Also because of the scale of the balcony, I have some hints about what should be the scale of the character here. Okay. So it looks pretty grounded now. It's not totally empty. Going to add some dust behind the horse. Maybe adding more saturation, so it will add more, you know, the intensity from the sky, from the sun. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to add a very subtle glow on the highlights of the character, so we can feel the light that is impacting the, you know, the reflection of the sun. Can play also with choose maybe a different position for the character. Oops. Maybe it was too much in the center. So I'm going to move the character on the right a bit. Just trying different options. Okay, so now I'm just adding a layer of mist behind the character so we can backlit the guy in the center. So we have we can read easily the silhouette now. Maybe it was too messy before, so kind of simplifies the reading of the picture. Okay. So as I did in the mood sketch, I'm going to paint some birds in the sky. Would still be interesting to add some, to add some life, also give more, information about the scale of the setting. Okay, so now we start to have more and more life in the setting that was really, really quiet before. Okay, just painting very, very subtle white birds in the background and darker values for the birds that will be on the sky. So we have more contrast. Just sharpening the brush stroke so it's better to read the silhouette of the birds. Okay, so as I did a separate layer for the birds, I'll be able to move the layer and duplicate it, maybe try different position, different scaling. I'm going to scale that. Just delete the parts that I don't need. Just keep some birds in the far distance here behind the castle. Okay. Also breaking a bit the lines of the shadow here. Basically, I'm breaking everything that was too sharp. Also makes the ground more organic. Okay. Painting some skylight here, adding some touches of blue in the shadow. So we define more the volumes and have a nice reflection of the sky here. Alright. So breaking more the edges with some highlights. Okay, so now I would like to do some color corrections on the night and also on the sky, just adding more saturation. So I'm doing a selection and duplicating this selection to a separate layer. I'm using the feather so I have a soft selection, so I could get a gradient of intensity. So I'm going to saturate only the reds because I would like to have more saturation only on that color. I don't want to saturate everything and just want to saturate the red fabric. And I think I'm going to do that also in the background, just on the sky and the clouds. Just playing with the values here. Also getting rid of the saturation I had on the column here. And also on the top of the castle, it was way too saturated here. So I'm keeping saturation just for the sky here. Okay, have a step back. Looks okay. It's working well. Okay, so now I think it's maybe time to save the picture. We really have to do that very often because don't find any auto saving options. Okay, so maybe just adding some highlights on defining more the foreground rocks here, adding some light reflection on the side from the sun, maybe bounce lighting, you know. Okay, so now I think we reached the end of this tutorial, so thank you very much for your attention.